Much for joining in the session today. So again, a quick session. We are going to go through questions 21 through 30. Okay. So the question number 21 is on the screen. Let's go through it.
I think answer is B.
Let's quickly go through it. Okay. So what I'm saying over here is obviously there's a new change that's come in and regulatory policy changes. So always remember, regulatory policy changes are mandatory. So there is no way you can get out of it. And it so happens that obviously this will now impact cost and schedule. And this particular policy change was never identified during the risk planning. Okay, that means it's a direct issue, no longer a risk. Okay, and it may so happen, right, that sometimes you will get into a situation wherein you're directly encountering an issue and you were completely blindsided with any policy. Currently, if you really look into it, right, the US policies, US trade policies, it's very difficult to kind of assess, no matter how much people might have tried to do the risk assessment. Okay, so so the first response over here is pretty useless because what it says, the only risk response is not identification. This is completely wrong. You're going to do all of this throughout your entire program. Next is once risks are identified, that planning monitoring is unnecessary. No. Never going to be that way. Once risks are identified, you have to monitor, you have to manage, okay, and then you have to change your part as well. Programs are immune to regulatory change? No. And this is where the PMI text is, right? PMI text clearly says that yes, whenever you're looking into any kind of regulatory changes, strategic changes, the programs will get impacted. So programs will change owing to multiple factors, regulatory change being just one of them. And yes, the answer is B. Okay. I'll quickly move on to the next one, 22. Your response, Richard?
My response is C.
Okay, and that's a correct response. Now let's just quickly go through the others, right? So what we're saying is side exclusively with the sponsor. No, you can't. Yes, I understand with program you have to be aligned with the sponsor, but that doesn't mean that the sponsor is always going to be correct. Okay, you have engineering teams who are much more closer to what's happening on the ground. So you, as a program manager, you cannot take anyone's side. Okay, the only side that you can possibly take is aligning to the business strategy. Everything else doesn't matter. Okay, ignoring anyone's concern, again, not the right way of doing it. Okay, you cannot ignore anyone's concern because you don't know today. Ignoring someone's concern might come and haunt you later. Escalate immediately to the governance, bit too early. Okay, again, you could say that if there is a conflict wherein the sponsor is also pushing, wherein the critical team, engineering team is also pushing, both of them are not agreeing, then probably that's the right place on wherein post having all those discussions, you can escalate to the governance. But this point over here, right, abdicating facilitation. You see, you can't just say, right, not my problem. Okay, anything on the program, if things are like these, yes, it is your problem, and you will have to try and work towards solving it. And yes, the answer is C for Charlie. Okay. So what it also says is do a risk reward workshop. Okay. Now this is one of the concerns that rather an approach that you have, wherein what you will try to do is you will try to see what is the actual risk. Is the risk that big? Is the risk worth the reward? Okay. So this is one of the terms that was there in the PMI text as well. Risk reward workshop. Okay, just simple way of saying that is the risk worth the reward. And obviously what I mentioned over here is what things you can do. You can explore any alternative schedules. You can look into what are the other risks around, whether one thing is leading to the other. How are you going to mitigate it? And ultimately, you're going to collaborate with everyone to create an updated plan. Okay, which kind of balances everything. Okay, cool. Question 23.
Answer is A.
Perfect. Okay, and let's quickly explore it, right? Okay, so I'll go from down to up. So D, ignore post-program sustainability. I'm so sorry. That's completely wrong. You cannot just go ahead and say, okay, once my program is done, I don't care what happens next. No, the programs manager's core responsibility over here is the benefits, okay, the values have to continue to sustain even post the program. Now, with this, remember one thing over here, that there would be certain benefits that you will start sustaining even while the program is getting executed. Okay, because the program will have multiple components. Some components might finish earlier. So you might already transition that component over to the operations or any other programs, and you will start reaping the benefits of that. Okay. So it's just not post program sustainability, it's overall there needs to be a sustainability of the benefits. However, saying that ignore it is not the right thing. Only using the contractors or saying we are not going to use the contractors is not the right term. Okay. So hence what the answer over here is, yes, we'll have to kind of look into kind of seeing what is the actual resources. Sometimes you might come across a situation wherein your organization itself does not have the skill set. Okay, and no matter how much you internally you're trying to develop it, you will not be able to meet that requirement on time. Okay, this is where you will have to go for contractors. Okay, and obviously one of the key things that with program also is knowledge transfer. So you will have to work through around how the knowledge sharing happens while in the program and how knowledge transfer happens before the program closes. There is a one clear activity around program also, which says around documentation. Okay, so you need to ensure that the documentation covers all these things in there. Okay, and again, the appropriate mix will come in through all these factors being considered. Okay,
Okay.
let's move on.
Yeah.
Question 24. Sorry, you had a question, Richard, on 23?
No, no. We can go to next question. Before.
Okay, 24.
Answer is B.
Perfect. Okay, and it's a very simple perspective over here, right? So during the exam, you're gonna get these kind of twisted questions, okay, wherein your immediate reaction of a project manager should stay away. You should stay away from it, okay? Because moment what happens with project management is the moment you have delivered, and let's say 3 years down the lane, something went wrong with the program, and let's say you're still with the same organization, people might come back and ask you what happened. You might say, that, sorry, I had transitioned over, I've done all my job, I don't know what happened. Okay. With program, one of the key things is A is it's a longer duration, okay, and B is sometimes sustaining those benefits, okay, may happen immediately while you're in the program, may happen immediately the moment the program closes, or sometimes there may be a delay in your program closing and then you finally accruing those benefits. Okay, which is where the D kind of sits quite well. Let's go through A, B, C. Benefits realization management should be limited to program execution and closure phases only. So this is completely wrong. Okay. The sustainment, which is a key part of realization, will continue even after the program. It's like operations. You will continue till the end of operations as such. Benefits management plan are unnecessary after closure. See, this again is a bit of a confusing statement. Okay, benefits management plan of who? Are you talking about the program benefits management, or are you talking about another benefits management plan that is happening with operations? So it's a bit open kind of thing. But saying that some plan is unnecessary after the closure, again, this is too vague statement for us to even look into it. Okay, benefits realization can be assumed only once initial success is observed. Again, the point that was mentioning earlier is sometimes your realization might take years together. Okay, so it's not going to be immediate. It's not going to be just the initial success. Sometimes you might have setbacks as well. Okay, so yes, the answer is D. Question 25. I've deliberately got this question in because these metrics are still required
Hmm.
in program management as well. And you might get an interpretation question, not actually doing a calculation. Yes, research.
Answer is A.
Correct. The answer is A. That's correct. So let's go from bottom to up in this case. Program is on target. I'm sorry. This is entirely wrong. Okay. It's not on target. No meaningful conclusion. Come on, it's clearly indicating the direction. Okay. And saying that earned value is under level for programs? No. Okay. Earned value is used also in programs. Obviously, the calculation of that would require inputs coming in from various projects. Okay. Program is under budget and ahead of schedule. Okay. This is where people might need a bit of a refresher, and let me bring that on the screen. Okay. So, simple thing whenever you're looking at a CPI and SPI, okay, less than one means over budget. Okay, for CPI, less than one for SPI means behind schedule. The opposite of that, that is CPI greater than one, that means we are using lesser money than what we were expected to use, which is where we are under budget. SPI greater than one means we are actually going at a much more faster pace as compared to what we were expected. That means we are ahead of schedule. Okay, and obviously there were a few other clues also in the answer saying that okay, I didn't what has happened with the program, and then we need to look identify what are the root causes and update the plans accordingly. And obviously, updating the plans would also mean that we need to get the necessary approvals, okay, before that gets implemented. Next question.
Answer is C.
Which one? C for Charlie or D for
C, C,
David?
C, C. C. C is the answer.
C is the answer. Absolutely. Okay. Now, you may come across sponsors who are much more focused on cost rather than what is actually being delivered. Uh, Again, right or wrong, you need to create the awareness around why you're doing this as a program because you're primarily focusing on generating a value. Okay. So, hence, it's not saying that cost is not important, but it's saying that, okay, hold on. Benefits realization is also important because you might spend up everything. Okay, you might still be under budget and all those things, but at the end of the day, if you are not able to realize the benefit, then all that money goes wasted. Okay, so hence we are saying that yes, benefits realization, we need to kind of under program management, that is a very critical aspect. Okay, in this case, what we are also saying is, well, the benefit delivery is delayed. Okay, so we will also be providing a plan of how we can kind of make up for the lost time. Okay, and then obviously when it comes down to any kind of plan, we are going to seek the sponsor agreement. In this case, sponsor, governance, governance body, governance board, all those guys kind of come in over here. Okay, and on how we actually revise the benefit timeline. Okay, directly recommending closeout. Again, this is okay. It's not such a big thing that we have to close out. Ignoring benefits realization, huh, doesn't work out that way. StageGate is going to be primarily focused on all the metrics, benefits realization being one of the key metrics. And saying that, okay, let's just present cost, let's make everyone happy, and let's not talk about benefits. Again, program manager's job is to ensure overall program success, just not the cost factor part of it. Okay. So, yes, the answer is C. Okay. Let's move on to question 27.
Okay. Answer is A.
A for apple.
Yeah, A for apple.
Okay. Can you explain me why do you think it's A for Apple?
See, because A will charter will contain roles, resources, budget commitments, uh, and all these things. Because uh, that is the one document which is required for kickoff, and it should contain all these details. If it's not containing all these details, the project charter will not be complete. So if say project program risk list uh, will actually contain the risk from all the aspects, including technical, regulatory, and other stuff. It will not control. It will not actually include the project roles or resources and budgets and other stuff. Communication plan is basically the way you communicate the status reports, and other verbal communication and non-verbal communications, etc. So benefit register is also not up on the roles and responsibilities and budget commitments. So it will actually say what are the how benefits, what are the benefits, how it can be tracked, when it will be benefits will come, one can realize the benefits. So I guess the most closest and the most is the program charter, because it will actually contain the roles and responsibilities, the
Okay,
budget
okay.
and
I
commitments and
think
others.
earlier I heard A from you. That's the reason I asked why did you say A? Okay, I get it. Okay, that's correct. So the key part of the program charter and to some extent of the business case. Had I put business case over here, this question would have been an even more challenging one. Okay, but one thing that you need to remember when it comes down to business case versus program charter, okay, the resourcing part of it, okay, the moment you see the word resources, okay, the resources commitment is something that will only happen in program charter, okay, because in business case you're still kind of presenting the business perspective of what the opportunity is, okay. So hence in this particular question the answer yes is the program charter. Okay, but please do understand that yes, all these things are important, but primarily, what's the purpose of program charter? Okay, it clearly talks about all these elements here. It talks about the scope, goes about the authority, the sourcing, which is we saying that okay, this much resourcing we need, and the organization committing it, the key stakeholders, okay, and obviously how it aligns to the overall strategy. If any of this component is missing, or let's say it's incomplete, confusion is just going to continue because then what happens is, and there's something that's happening in one of my conversations is without having a charter in place, people are just spent about a couple of months having discussions about what the project is all about. Okay, now my key objective in that was okay, hold on, too much of conversations, let's sit down, let's put this into a charter. You help me fill in the blank spaces so that everyone knows what is what and who is going to do what activity, and then we kind of take it forward. Okay. So yes, the answer is C, program charter. I'll move on to question 28.
Okay. Answer is B. B.
B for boy. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, B for boy. B for boy.
Perfect. So what they are saying is too much of information is coming through, and people are now starting to ignore the communications. So this is what is leading to a disengagement with the stakeholder. Now remember, stakeholder engagement plan and stakeholder communication plan is going to be a bit symbiotic because they're going to work together. Okay. With engagement, you will understand how to build up a relationship with the stakeholder, what are their needs. In this case, needs would also mean communication needs, and those communication needs will flow into the communication plan. Okay, that's how it will kind of flow through. Now, the point in all of this over here is yes, we are saying that too much of information is sent out. It's not being relative, just things are happening. This might happen for meetings as well. Too many meetings happening, but nothing's been really being discussed or nothing's been really actioned. So communication is just not emails. It may be meetings. It may be let's say uh, uh, a dashboard chart and so on, which has a lot of information, but no one's looking at it. So hence, saying that let's stop all the communication wrong. Communication is going to be a key of program management. Increase frequency of communication. Again, we are saying already too much of information is there, okay, and it's irrelevant. So not something in there. Only report positive news, completely against the program management principles, right? Because we have to report where we are today. Doesn't matter whether it's good or bad news. Okay, so yes, what we are saying over here is we have to segment who needs what information, okay, and what are their priorities, and then basis that provide them tailored updates. Now in tailored updates also, just be mindful that let's say you've got 50 stakeholders, doesn't mean that you have to have 50 individual ways of communicating with them. You'll have to kind of bring some kind of a standardization when you're doing the communication. Okay, now in communication also remember the text which you would have read during PMP was push pull communication. Okay, when you're pushing it, you're pulling it, and so on. So and then interactive communication, you'll have to look through all those strategies to see which suits best with stakeholders, but again try and standardize it, because if you're going to bespoke with all the 50 stakeholders, then it will be too difficult for you to manage the communication. Okay, so somewhere you will also have to draw a line to bring them aligned to the communication policies or other process. Okay, question 29.
Okay. Answer is D.
Is it B for boy or D for David?
D for David.
D for David. Okay, perfect. And that's correct. So saying that we are going to just do, we're going to ignore the entire learnings, not the right thing. Saying that we'll only conduct lessons learned for failed projects, again, not the right thing. Okay, this one saying mandate immediate archiving. Okay, yes, you can mandate it. But the next point is not making sense, right? But not reference of lessons. No, you are archiving it, so you should be actually using it. Okay, so it's not like people told us to archive it, so we have archived it, but we're not going to touch it after that. So A is completely wrong. But can there be a organization-wide policy around programs to mandate the archiving of the program artifacts? Yes. Okay, you can actually include that as part of your governance as well. So there can be things like that which can be there. Okay, now what it is saying over here is correct answer is D, obviously, and with this what we are saying is yes, we'll maintain a knowledge repository. In that, what we're going to do is we're going to ensure that there is a periodic review, and then what we are also doing is whenever people are trying to do that, trying to do existing projects, programs, or let's say new programs or projects, just look through those lessons, see what things worked, what things did not work, so that you don't end up committing the same mistakes. So, for example, there could be a situation wherein in one program, um, they identified that a particular contractor, a particular vendor, okay, does not have a good record, and because of that, the organization got a huge fine. Okay, and let's say you are now starting a new program wherein you've asked for different quotes from different vendors, and this vendor has come again with a quote. You won't know what happened good or what didn't happen good with the vendor, but when you look into the lessons learned, probably that might give you a hint around how to proceed with this vendor if the vendor is the only choice left. Okay, so yes, the answer is D. Okay, perfect. So let's now move on to the last question of the day. Question 30.
Okay. Answer is B. B. B for boy.
Perfect, perfect. Okay. Now, one of the key things around governance is project level escalations. So, see the word level over here. Okay. Now, what has happened over here is obviously there's a major risk. Okay. In a component project, people have tried to escalate it, but there's no traction in there. It's just kept on getting ignored. Okay. Now, if our escalation keeps on getting ignored at a component level, then you need to kind of set up as a program governance. You need to set up as to what should we do. Let's say we can put a threshold over here saying that a project, if a risk in a project is critical, and despite escalating for let's say 2 weeks, nothing's happening out, and now this is going to delay the project, then you put an escalation matrix over there that, okay, fine. Okay, as an immediate thing, escalate it to the program manager, let the program manager see how it does. Now, if the program manager is not able to do it, then let the governance board come in there. Now, if the governance board can't do it, see if sponsor can have any kind of influence. If none of those can come in, then go to the enterprise level PMO, see how they can manage it. So that is how you will kind of put in a escalation process or escalation protocols. Okay, and in this particular answer, it's very simple, right? Uh, Even if there would have been something verbal, it formally documented, okay, escalation protocols would really help in these kind of situations, okay, and this is where the governance plan also, right, has a lot of that information required to be documented and followed, so that if a situation like this arises, you can just follow those, okay, and obviously roles and responsibilities will also kind of come in as to escalation, who's going to play what kind of a role and how they're going to take it forward, okay. So that is how these things would happen. Okay, and as kind of explained over here, clear escalation paths are critical for timely resolution of risk. Okay, risk mitigation at a program level. Okay, other follow options allows gaps or confusion. Okay, so with that, we kind of come on to an end of the 10 questions that we had for today. Okay,
Okay. Amandeep. Thank you very much for the
cool.
questions. Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome. I'll just stop the audio.